everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, everyone. We got a exciting agenda tonight. We're going to have our wrap up our budget work sessions. We've got a Gold Scout Award project presentation, and then we're going to recognize and honor our Long Island champion boys varsity soccer team. Cool. All right, so first up, Alexandra Lynn. Alexandra, come on up.
What is a Girl Scout Gold Award Project? The Girl Scout Gold Award Project is the highest achievement in Girl Scouts. It's awarded to a senior or an ambassador Girl Scout. The project has to demonstrate extraordinary leadership through a sustainable, impactful project addressing a community issue. The Girl Scout must complete a minimum of 80 hours, and the project should have a long-lasting impact on the community. What I have done as a Girl Scout. I have been a part of Girl Scouts since I was in kindergarten. I have not only been awarded multiple presidential awards for community service, I have also received my bronze and my silver award. For my bronze award, I created benches out of bottle caps with my Girl Scout troop. We placed the benches throughout the South Huntington schools. For my silver award, I worked with the nursing home across from Walt Whitman, Sunrise Senior Living. Me and two girls in my troop placed and interacted with the seniors, creating an impactful relationship among them. What is my project? After completing both my bronze and my silver, I decided to pursue my gold award. I wanted to do something that had to do with my community. I wanted to help and change the people's lives that I see every day, so I decided to do my project with Walt Whitman. For my project, I am going to be moving a sign that is at the back of the school near Pominock Road to a more reliable and safer spot. Currently, where the sign is it is across the street from where the road is, and we're going to be moving it to a more reliable and safer spot. When people are coming down the road and entering into the intersection, it will allow for better directions, and it will also allow I will also be creating a gardening bed around the sign. Along with the plantings at the back of the school, I'm going to be putting in new plantings at the signage at the front entrance of the school. We're going to be taking up the old plantings and replacing them with newer ones. My project will be working with the Walt Whitman Gardening Club. With them, I'm going to decide on what plants will best fit the different beds and what plants are going to be best sustainable for different climates. These are the photos of the actual signage. As you can see, it's going to be moved from the back to the front where I circled, and then in the last slide, that was the sign at the front of the school. Thank you.
Any questions for Alexandra? Okay, all good? Congratulations, you got to go ahead. Thank you for thinking of us. All right, we move on to our recognition ceremony. So this year, the boys varsity soccer team captivated our community with a thrilling fall season and dramatic play. The team ended the year with an impressive 14 victories and just 5 losses, outscoring their opponents 50-31. And the team won their first county championship since 2018 and first Long Island championship since 2015, and led us on an incredible 4-week journey that saw us travel to Middletown, New York for the state championships. There were ups and downs. The boys started a little bit slow, but then turned it on in the second half. And the team finished the remainder of their schedule with a 9-game winning streak, scoring twice as many goals as their opponents. Though their season ended after an incredible semifinal finish where they competed for 110 minutes to finish in a 1-1 tie, there's so many great moments to celebrate from this year. Particularly for me was the Long Island Championship game against Syosset, which I think was probably the most exciting sporting event I've attended since I've been on the board. It was an amazing game. They were down throughout, and it was a furious rally, and it was really spectacular to see the community turn out, and it was so exciting. And then I did have an opportunity to go up to Middletown and watch them, and that was just a great game where everybody gave everything that they could. And, so it's just an amazing year, and we're so happy to celebrate the boys. So to kick off our presentation, I'm going to introduce our athletic director, David Barth. And then we also have a little tribute video for you, and we have some gifts to recognize and memorialize your season.
I'd like to thank Dr. Delia and Cabinet, as well as Ms. Nixie Apetta and the Board of Education for their continued support of our athletics program and for the opportunity to be here tonight. Tonight, I'm here to honor our boys varsity soccer team for all the success and excitement that they brought to our high school and our community this season. The team was led by 18 seniors, 9 juniors, and just 1 sophomore, and coached by 5 of our very own teachers, which was a full Wildcat effort. They were League II champions and saw members earn accolades, which included 2 All-League players, 1 All-Conference player, and 4 All-County players. Senior Jerson Contreras was named All-State, and senior Michael Menino was selected League MVP, Suffolk County Player of the Year, First Team Newsday All-Long Island, All-State, All-Region, and All-American. Michael was one of just 4 All-Americans on Long Island. He cleaned up all major awards. And of course, the team, Suffolk County champions and Long Island champions. Congratulations, boys. It was incredible. In addition, Coach John DiGiacomo was named Suffolk County Coach of the Year by Newsday and Suffolk County Coaches Association. Congratulations, Coach DiGiacomo. And assistant coach Brian Carves was named Assistant Coach of the Year. Well done, Coach. These are just some of the many honors that they had this season. We can go on and on with them. Just an incredible year. Our boys soccer program has set the standard for consistent success at all levels of play. They continue to raise the bar year in and year out and are looked upon as one of the best programs in New York State, something to be proud of. Though 97% of our roster is made up of upperclassmen, you can be sure that this program is built for success for years to come. The entire program has over 120 players participating between 7th and 12th grade. Our JV2 program, led by Mr. Brian Portillo, finished the season with an 8-4 record. Our JV1 team, led by Suffolk County JV Coaches of the Year, Mr. Rob Tedesco and Nick Costa. Congratulations, man. Finished with a record of 12-2, both incredible accomplishments. We have tremendously talented student athletes and leadership within this program, and I'm confident that they will be a force in the years to come. Congratulations to all. At this point, we'd like to see a tribute video from the 2024 season. Such great memories there. Thank you so much for all those pictures, Mr. Monte, and the video, of course. So we appreciate it. Thank you. At this point, I'd like to call up head varsity boys soccer coach, Mr. John DiGiacomo.
Oh, I don't think I need this. I have the phys ed voice. Hey, listen, this is a huge accomplishment for the boys. I want to thank the Board of Education, the administration, parents, the community. All right, so it really is a tremendous honor to watch these boys accomplish what they did. Um, it's extremely difficult in Suffolk County. I don't think anybody realizes how hard it is to get out of Suffolk County. You get out of Suffolk County and it's almost like winning a state championship. All right, the talent pool within Suffolk is just tremendous. All right, and the boys should be extremely proud of themselves. All right, they did a great job, and I know they gathered the community together, and we've said it from the very beginning. It's an experience that every kid should experience, but these guys are fortunate to share. So, and I'm super proud of them for that. I was ill prepared. I wasn't told I was speaking. And I'll do my best not to get emotional, but because we take so much pride in what we do. All right, these guys are the best coaches I could ever coach with. All right, we have the best support staff we could ever have. All right, and it's a fabulous thing. You can coach these kids. All right, so thank you.
So now in a moment, Mr. Barth is going to announce all the names, and we're going to hand you a couple really nice gifts, we think. So first we have a key to the South Huntington School District, which is kind of our highest honor that we can give you, and we're very proud to give it to you. And then we have a picture of the Long Island Championship that was taken on the field that day. So we have a couple things for you to remember the season by, to remember us by, and we'll definitely never forget all the thrills that you gave us, including beating the Comac. That was a great game. I think we all take pride in beating Comac. They're not our favorites, so. All right, sorry, Dr. Hender. Without further ado, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Barth.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. At this point, I'd like to call up the student athletes. First up, Joseph Alas. Carlos Alay. Edwin Alfaro Rivera. Francisco Amaya Ruiz.
You took the long one.
Freddie Campos Cruz. Anthony Canales. Jordi Castillo Guevara. Jaden Castro. Emerson Castro Rivas. Joel Chavez Granados. Jerson Contreras. Alexander Del Priori. Justin. David Escobar Henriquez. Koji Flores. Edward Flores Medina. Andy Flores Reyes. Jackson Galdamez Sordo. Ethan Jacato. Jamith Jimenez. Michael Menino. Ryan Perillo. Benjamin Rennick. Anthony Reyes Santos. Gavin Supek. Otto Umana Alvarez. Nicholas Verdi. Brandon Vill. Our athletic trainer, Mr. Pete White. JV2 head coach, Brian Portillo. JV assistant coach, Nicholas Costa. JV head coach, Robert Tedesco. Varsity assistant coach, Brian Cars. And varsity head coach, Mr. John DiGiacomo. At this point, I'd like to invite Dr. Delia up to say a few words.
Thank you, and congratulations once again, boys. Going back to that state semifinal game, I don't think I've ever seen a more competitive game in my life. And the one thing I want you boys to definitely know is that you have no regrets because you left it all on the field that night. And, you know, we wanted a different outcome, but in our eyes, you're state champs here. So, you know, congratulations to all of you, and thank you for representing South Huntington in such a classy way. From our students, our coaches, we know those games get tough, tempers flare, but you guys represented us very well, and it's awesome. Thank you.
All right, if we can get a picture with our board and our champions, and once again, thank you everyone for coming out tonight, and we're so proud of our students. These seasons really give us so much to celebrate, and our boys did a great job. We'll take a couple-minute break to let everybody gather around. ceremony. It's a, Dr. Lee said it's a great bunch of students. Really, really good. Good athletes on the field and exceptional people off it. Okay, we move into our final budget work session. Won't be our last budget presentation. There's a number of steps that come going forward. We have to have the official adoption of the budget, then we have to have a public hearing of the budget, and then the public gets their say. But this is a very substantive proposal, so we'll get it going without further ado. Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Iapetta. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our third session for this season. This tonight, is this working? Technical problems already. So I'll get started in the meantime. Tonight we're going to do it a little differently. I'm going to have some of my colleagues, Mr. Smith and Mr. Lombardo, go through, just to keep what's not working, go through some of the class sizes and staffing for the district, as well as a student services overview. They're going to kind of bounce off one another to see how the two components of their jobs are interrelated. And we'll close out the presentation where I'll do a side-by-side comparison, this proposed budget versus the current adopted budget for the year we're living in. So I will just hand it off to Mr. Smith and Mr. Lombardo while they get that keyboard worked out.
I feel like I have to do something to kill some time here, but I will speak a little bit to the process, and I want to just thank all the administrators in the room and everybody that sat with me over the last month or so and really took their time to really talk about the district, talk about our students, and look at our staffing needs. None of that happens without all of you in the back of the room there, so that is truly appreciated. I know we all have busy schedules, but taking that time with me, with also Dr. Hender and Ms. Kavanaugh to really take a look at our staffing needs and how we can purposely use them for the next school year, greatly appreciated. And that being said, when we start talking about kids, it reminds us when we're in the room this evening with our soccer players that some of these numbers on the screens are not just numbers, that these are actually our students that are doing truly amazing things inside and outside of our classroom. So this evening, I'd like to say I'm taking you on a journey through South Huntington, and I'm going to stop at each one of our buildings and really talk about the staffing needs and also the enrollment projections for each year. That journey starts at our primary centers at Oakwood Primary School. If we're looking at kindergarten, which is our first grade level, obviously, we're always looking at this as a projection, and we're utilizing this number as 200. And if you look at the numbers on the screen, your first number you're seeing is our current enrollment, 24-25, which is 195, and our projection for next year is 200. Typically, that has rang true with South Huntington year after year. We do have some blip years where the enrollment is obviously larger and we have additional staffing needs, but we use that as a starting point. And then throughout the summer, we're keeping a close eye on our pre-K numbers and really watching throughout the summer to what our needs might be in the following school year. So we're using a projection of 9 sections with a nice average class size of around 22 in our kindergarten for next year. In first grade, as our kindergartners transition up to first grade, our 195 students will be in 9 sections for just about an average of, once again, 22. And our second grade, going from first to second, again, once again, 195. I wanted you to take a key look at that number 245 because that's a larger second grade class that we've had at Oakwood, and I'll talk about the trend moving forward and how that will impact Birchwood Intermediate School. But if you want to look at the number of sections, you can see that we're going to be utilizing some of the staff members to support our intermediate schools as the students transition up to higher grade levels. Can't talk about Oakwood without talking about Countrywood, which is one of our primary centers on the other side of town. Once again, we are starting off our projection of 200. But I will mention that we had kind of a unique summer last summer. And I spent a lot of time talking to Mr. Levy on the cell phone throughout the summer and talking to him obviously in person with the expectation that our enrollment was continued to climb at the kindergarten level. We just never really saw those enrollment numbers. So that's going to be anticipated that we will see that return, but we will take a close look at that throughout this summer and check to see if we can utilize that staffing in other places as the summer progresses to keep a close eye on that enrollment. So we're projecting that our opening will be around 22 students once again in our kindergarten for next school year. Going into first grade, this is where that smaller class of first grade of 161 is traveling forward. We are going to reduce a section at that level because of that and utilize that staffing once again in our intermediate schools where additional staffing is needed. And as we go into our second grade, once again, you're seeing a number of 197 traveling forward with 9 sections, an average class size, once again, around 22 students. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Lombardo, who's going to speak to you a little bit more about the special education services offered at both buildings.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So, as we discussed, or Mr. Conway and Mr. Smith stated, we are going to give an overview of our special education program as part of tonight's presentation, starting with our the services and the programs we offer on our primary level. So if you look at the slide that we have here, we have some ratios and we have some programs listed on what's my left side, and that includes the entire continuum of services we offer on the primary level. We are happy to be able to offer the full continuum of services in both of our primary buildings next year. That includes, of course, resource room services, ICT or integrated co-teaching services, which is the 2-teacher model. We're able to offer 15-1-1 program, an 8-1-2 program, and a 6-1-2 program. Again, looking at those ratios, if you look at 6-1-2, for example, all that means is no more than 6 students, no less than 1 teacher, and no less than 2 teachers' assistants. Now, the 6-1-2 program is something that we started at Oakwood this year. Dr. McKaylee and Ms. Schlesinger have been a great help in getting that program off the ground, and it has been very successful. That is new to the district this year, and that having that program, the 6-1-2 program, allowed us to bring some students who are out of district back into district, and in the future, next year and in the future, that'll allow us to educate some more students who normally would have gone out of district within our district program. So the 6-1-2 will extend next year. We'll be offering it not only at Oakwood, but we'll be offering it at Countrywood also. In the next column, you see listed the related services and supports we offer on the primary level. On our staff, we offer behavior specialists, school psychologists, social workers, speech and language therapists as related service providers. They are all our staff members. We also offer teachers' assistants and paraprofessionals to support our classroom and support our students as needed. We do also have a specialized reading program for our students who do have disabilities in the areas of reading. There are several related services that we contract out with outside agencies. I'll discuss those a little bit later on in the presentation. Mr. Smith?
From our primary schools, our journey continues to the intermediate schools, starting first with Birchwood Intermediate School. Once again, I knew I drew your attention to that number 245 that's leaving Oakwood. So that number goes up to Mr. Bernadette's building with 245 students going into our 3rd grade. Due to that, there are increased staffing needs, but once again, that is kind of cost neutral for the district because we're going to be utilizing staff that exists in our other buildings where the enrollment is a little bit lower. So we're going to have 11 sections next year that we're projecting at Birchwood Intermediate School to give us about 22 students per class at Birchwood. In the 4th grade, you have the 3rd graders transitioning up to 216 students with an additional section as well, giving us a number of 24 students per class. And in the 5th grade, we have 192 students coming up from the 4th grade with a reduction in staffing to 8 sections with 24 students in each class. Once again, of course, you can't talk about Birchwood without Maplewood. And as we travel to the other side of town and look at the projected enrollment at Maplewood. So once again, looking at some of the staffing that is coming out of Countrywood, where we have a little bit of a lower enrollment, we're going to be utilizing that staff to help balance off some of the sections at Maplewood. In 3rd grade, currently we have 199 students, but next year we will have 199 projected with an additional section, bringing the class sizes to 22. In 4th grade, we have 190 students projected in that grade level with 9 sections to 8, which will give us about 24 students per class. And then finally our 5th grade, where we have 191 students exiting and 187 students coming in for 9 sections, which will bring the class average to about 21 students per section. Once again, at this time, I'll invite Mr. Lombardo up to the podium to speak to you a little bit about the level of services in special education at the intermediate schools.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So again, on the intermediate level, you're going to see a continuum of services similar to that we offer on the primary level. Again, resource room, integrated co-teaching, the 1511 class, the 811 program. And next year, we're going to be starting a 612 class at Maplewood Intermediate School, which we're very excited about. Again, that gives us an opportunity to bring students back who are currently receiving their education at a district, and again, helps us not having to send students out. In the years to come, we're looking to expand that 612 class, not only at Maplewood, but we'd like to offer it at Birchwood in the years to come also. Related services and supports we offer, again, similar to that we offer on the primary level, behavior specialists, school psychologists, social workers, speech and language therapists, available in both buildings. Again, teachers, assistants, and paraprofessionals there to provide support in the classroom and also with individual students. And we do also offer the specialized reading program in both of our intermediate schools.
Once again, as we continue our journey through South Huntington, we arrive at our sixth grade center at Silas Wood Sixth Grade Center, offering courses English, English Honors, Social Studies, Math, Math Honors, and Science, and just taking a look at more in-depth of what those class sizes look like. We're always trying to look at that sweet spot on where students should be, and we really try to keep these numbers somewhere between 23 to 25 students per section. And it's not rare for some of our honors sections to certainly run a little bit higher. And once again, projected enrollment for Silas Wood for next year is at a pretty steady amount, which means that there's not much shifting of staff needed. As we travel forward to our secondary program, we move forward to Stimson Middle School. And focusing on Stimson, once again, you'll see that English honors and honors designation for some of our classes. Moving to English honors, you'll see on the left side of 21 for English, and for English honors is 23. So once again, that's not uncommon that we will be running at the secondary level some of our honors courses a little bit higher. Social studies at the middle school level in 7th grade, 23 for our regular classes and also 24 for honors. And as we move through, you're going to see that common theme once again of the class sizes running somewhere between 20, 22, and 23 students through all our content areas. If you focus your attention on languages other than English, I think it's important to point out that some of our classes could run a little bit higher just because you might have what we call in the scheduling world a singleton or doubleton, which might be a French course, for example. We're only running 2 sections and there might be more students in that class because of that, where you're not going to break that up into 3 sections. If you could have about 28 students per class, that makes sense for that type of programming. As we move to our specials, the same thing applies there, where you're going to see a range in class sizes somewhere between 20 to 27, depending on which specials the students are taking. As you can imagine, our music classes might run a little bit higher than, let's say, an art class. As we move forward to our 8th grade classes, same common numbers of you're looking at our English and English honors. So the numbers to your left are our regular classes, our Regents classes, and numbers to the right are our honors classes. Once again, you see that balance. You might notice again that those honors numbers, I'll keep reiterating, might be a little bit higher, and that once again is normal. Once again, looking at languages other than English, we offer French, Spanish, and Italian here in South Huntington. That is the range of class sizes for those courses. And then finally finishing up with the specials at the 8th grade level, a range in sizes between 20 and 25. All balanced class sizes, and once again, the projected enrollment at Stimson is steady for next school year, not a big discrepancy from one school year to next with balanced staffing. Once again, I'm going to invite Mr. Lombardo back up to the podium, which will talk to you a little bit further about the special ed programming that we offer at those levels.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So again, very similar services that we offer at our 6th grade center and on the early secondary level at Stimson Middle School. You'll see a little difference here with our continuum of services, academic services with our most restrictive, meaning our students who require the highest level of support. They receive support in the 12-1-3 setting. Now those are students who will likely go along what's known as a traditional life skills path. Some of those students do end up moving to the 15-1-1 class and end up on the Regents path. But as our students who are in the current 6s and the current 811s, as they progress through the years, we'll take a look when they get to this age. If we need to start those programs there, that's something we would of course look into. And again, we have the full array of related services and supports offered at our 6th grade center and on the secondary level.
Okay, so one last stop in our journey as we head up to Walt Whitman High School, and once again reviewing the courses that are offered at Walt Whitman. What you can see is that we have English, honors, AP, and electives that are associated with the content areas across at Walt Whitman High School. So the corresponding class sizes you will see to your right. So once again, the numbers that we're looking at for English, between 23 to 28 students per class, depending on what course the students are taking. For social studies, honors, AP, and electives, same thing. You're seeing about mid-20s class sizes for those courses. Again, just mentioning that the Walt Whitman High School has not completed their scheduling process at this point in time, so there will be a standard amount of movement that takes place as students get into some courses, don't get into others, and tend to move around throughout the spring. For math, honors, AP, and electives, once again, you see nice balanced numbers. Science, honors, AP, and electives, same applies. And then finally, once again, languages other than English, we're going to see a range between 22 and 27 students per class. And finally, our specials, art, music, health, PE, business. Once again, we're utilizing a range, just showing that there are going to be a range of students, no more than 26 students per class, with a lower amount of 24 as a possibility. Once again, I'll invite Ms. Lombardo back up to the podium again, which is going to speak to the special education services at Walt Whitman High School.
Thank you again, Mr. Smith. And again, the services that we're able to offer at the high school are closely going to resemble the services we offer throughout the district. One addition that you saw here, you also would have seen it on the Stimson and 6th grade level, is consultant teacher services. Consultant teacher services are something that we offer students who need the least amount of support. They don't have direct contact with the teacher daily, but it's something that we can offer students on the high school level, and it's something that we like to offer students as they head more towards declassification. So again, the full continuum of services with the 1213 through the consultant teacher services. Related services here again on the secondary level at Walt Whitman High School are going to closely resemble what we've seen throughout the district, with one addition here of job coaching. Now, job coaching is something that we offer to some students in the 1511 setting, but to all of our students in the 1213 setting. And this allows our students who are on a different path, on the life skills path, to go out into the community, work at different stores and different places in our community alongside a job coach. And it's really on-the-job training for our students, preparing them for post-secondary goals. Our related services also include those contracted related services, which I will now speak about. So the contracted services that I referred to throughout the presentation, these are services that we hire agencies outside of our staff to provide for our students. That includes occupational therapy, physical therapy, vision services, feeding therapy, individual nursing services, and orientation and mobility services. We also have several staff members who are district-wide staff members, and that includes a teacher of the deaf, an assistant tech specialist. We have 2 district-wide social workers who provide support for our students throughout the district, and also do push-in services and push-in programs to teach our students social emotional learning. We have a district-wide transition coordinator, Michelle Siragusa, who does a wonderful job helping our families prepare for adult services and helping our students who need who need to use their accommodations and their services when they're on the college level. We also have a district-wide BCBA, a board-certified behavior analyst, who was put in place to support our students in the 611 and 612 and in the 811 settings. So that's really the overview of our special education program throughout the district. I'm going to turn it over now to Mr. Conway.
Thank you to both my colleagues, Mr. Smith and Ms. Lombardo. Thanks for your input and help with the presentation and going through it tonight. Thank you. So now we're going to get into some of the dollars and cents throughout the budget process. The intent here tonight is to look at the current year approved budget and compare that to the proposed budget for 25-26. Just to give some context to the numbers we're going to go through. On a day-to-day basis, we have roughly 2,400 budget codes that different departments live in throughout the year. And the context here is, of course, you're going to see some numbers that have decreased and some that have increased. And what we try to do is reflect year over year, look at trend analysis. Do we need a little more money in a code or a little less money in a code? We don't want to ever just blindly take a code and add X percent. That's not responsible, and we want to look at it code by code. To do that, we're looking at each of them, and you'll see here the state budget codes are broken out by function. And what that tells us is the 1,000s, that's your general support. We'll get into each of these in a little more detail throughout the slides. But that's your administrative costs. Your 2,000 are your various levels of instruction. The 5,000 being your transportation, and then the 9,000s are classified as undistributed. That includes things like your health insurance, various benefits, interfund transfers to federal fund, cafeteria fund, and the capital fund, as well as debt service related to historical borrowings or EPC. Okay, some of the items that you'll see related to the 1,000 codes, as we have up here on the screen, it's Board of Education, Superintendent, Personnel, Business Office, including things like the Treasurer's Office, Purchasing, Payroll, and then a lot of facilities codes, and then insurance, legal. As you can tell, the administrative type of expenses. So these slides are going to be present throughout the presentation. On the far left, you'll see the categories. The second column over is the proposal for the upcoming year. The next column being the adopted budget for the year we're living in, and then to the right, the dollar and percentage change. It's important to note that each of those categories to the left in bold have literally dozens and dozens and dozens of codes behind them. So what we're trying to do tonight is just give a high-level view of some of the key drivers that would have increased or decreased the codes. With that, I'll jump into it. So the top one here, the codes that culminate in that $23,000 decrease, it's just broken out. We can surmise it in two real things, some slight salary increases, as well as decreases in various codes, supplies, materials, things like that. You'll see it's a slight decrease. The next one, we see a decrease in costs proposed of about $246,000. That's driven primarily by salary increases across all those offices I spoke to on the prior slide, as well as some reductions we're anticipating in BOCES costs, public relations costs, and then again, supplies administratively throughout those codes. Plant operations, again, a very small decrease, about 0.25% there. We have salary increases, that obviously on the plus side, but on the decreasing side, we have equipment decreasing of around $135,000, some BOCES contractual and supplies costs decreasing of about $40,000, and then we have utilities decreasing of roughly $322,000 we're projecting, and that's a big result of the energy performance contract. We're seeing the solar panels generate some positive gains for us, so we're forecasting some savings there. The next one, $45,000 decrease for storage and printing in the mailroom. Simply stated, that's just decrease in salary codes and some overtime, very minimal there. And the next one, with insurance, association dues, etc., you'll see a decrease of about $108,000. That's primarily driven by a $125,000 year-over-year decrease in insurance. That sounds counterintuitive, but what it reflects, we're projecting roughly a 9 to 10% increase in insurance expense. But based on how this year turned out, we were able to save a little money in that code. So the budget to budget is very small. We're looking at a decrease there. Also going into that overall number, we have increases in BOCES charges of about $40,000, and then also some immaterial fluctuations as well. Moving over into the 2000 codes, that's the instructional stuff that happens day to day in the building, face to face with the students. We'll see typical costs there: building administration, curriculum instruction, classroom, special ed, and student services costs that Ms. Lombardo just went through in detail. Then we have the guidance department, extracurricular activities, things of that nature that are building and student driven. So going through some of those deviations year to year, the top one there on the supervision code, we see an increase of about 293,000, just shy of 3%. That's driven by contractual salary increases of roughly $350,000. And then we have a decrease of about $65,000 made up of supplies, some travel, equipment, and various reflection on the needs and efficiencies throughout all those codes. And that's where we landed in that category. The next one, the 2110, is your general instructional codes. We see an increase of about $490,000, just shy of 1%. The key drivers there are salary increases, again, contractual fluctuations. That's about just shy of $700,000 on the plus side. But on the decreasing side, we have a $129,000 decrease in supplies, about $12,000 decrease in BOCES, and a slight increase of about $30,000 in equipment. So that all nets out to that number you see there. And last on that slide, we see about $1.2 million increase for our 2250. That's the special education codes. That's made up of a few things, primarily being salary increases of roughly $450,000 to $500,000 in that regard. We have contractual costs which increased around $600,000 and change, and the key drivers there are some special ed tuition costs, district of location services that other districts bill South Huntington for, and then of course some pluses and minuses throughout the contractual codes. And last but not least, we have a slight increase in BOCES of $70,000 and supplies of roughly $5,000. Continuing at the instructional codes, we'll see here an $800,000 increase in the tuition codes, that category on the top. That's driven by, again, salary increases of $308,000. And the second driver behind that is occupational education costs for BOCES. We have roughly 160 students that we send to BOCES to learn and educate themselves over there for career-ready type programs. And that cost is based on a 2-year rolling average that BOCES charges the district. So it's the salaries in that BOCES that's strictly driving that increase on top.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Sure.
Conway, so did BOCES give us a much bigger bill then, or?
They take a 2-year average of the enrollment, and the last couple of years there have been more students wishing to go. So
Okay.
that just, it's
Gotcha.
a function
So there's
of the
more
enrollment.
students going there.
Correct.
Okay.
The next one here, we have attendance, a decrease of around $70,000. That was just a simple movement of personnel that moved from the general fund code off into a grant. And that last one on this page to close it out is $297,000 increase in activities there. That's driven mostly again by salaries related to intramurals, athletic coaches, some contractual stipends. The expenses are really in line with what we're projecting based on those contracts. Then we do see decreases in decrease in supplies of about $29,000 and some increase in BOCES costs of roughly $10,000. Switching over to transportation, the 5,000 codes. This we've seen up several times, this slide, throughout these presentations. In the current year, we're looking to project $1.5 million transfer to bus purchases, and that we're looking to buy 66, let me take that back, 6 66 passenger.
That would be a lot of
Tongue
buses.
twister, that'd be a lot of buses. 6 66 passenger large buses and 6 29 passenger vans. And again, that's the district's intent to keep upgrading our fleet, servicing our students with our drivers that we aim to hire from the community. Some of the components that go into the transportation codes themselves, we have 3 categories we've broken it out to. First being in-district transportation. That includes things like your supervisor and your office staff, dispatchers, drivers, matrons, things of that nature. And we have a garage building, if you've ever driven past it behind Silas. It's really a full-service garage. They do most of the repair work on all of our buses and most of the district vehicles. We have 4 mechanics over there. And in the contract transportation, that's the piece we engage the third-party vendor. Currently, it's Educational Bus. And they do a lot of the private, they do all of the private and parochial runs. They share the in-district runs with us, and then they do other runs throughout the day, whether it be BOCES and such. On any given day, South Huntington, we have roughly 37 large and 24 vans in the rotation doing runs for us. And currently, Educational has around 23 large and 12 vans doing around 45 runs for the district at this point in time. Getting into some of the variances throughout these codes, We'll see the top one there is transportation services for the district, about $149,000 increase. A good chunk of that is driven by the increase in bus purchases year over year of about $200,000. We see some salary increases of about $28,000. Non-bus purchase related equipment, we decreased by $65,000. And again, various fluctuations in contractual supplies. Small point worth noting is we're also anticipating some fuel savings this year. Earlier in the school year, just around July, we entered with the intermunicipal agreement with the town of Huntington to fuel up our vehicles there. And we're actually seeing some fuel savings as a result of that contract. The next one is a slight change of $1,000 or so. Again, just small, slight fluctuations with salary and overtime there. And the last one on that slide, you'll see a significant decrease of around $880,000 in contract transportation. That's the budget code where we pay the vendor from. That's a combination of things go behind that decrease there. First and foremost is our concentrated effort to how we utilize the vendor, what runs we can do ourselves more efficiently, and obviously with some cost savings. This past year, as I mentioned in the last presentation, we took back around 4 to 4.5 routes, the half being either an AM or a PM session. Our goal, as just mentioned, is to continue buying some vehicles. And to clarify that 878, it's not necessarily an expense side savings. We're roughly going to save around $300,000, as mentioned last time, in transportation costs. But because of the efficiencies we were able to do in real time this year, we're not going to utilize the full budget that we had allocated this year, and we spoke to that at the last meeting. So budget to budget is really what's driving that. We're factoring in an increase, of course, in expense because of the consumer price index, but budget to budget, we are seeing that decrease at this point in time. Okay, if I could switch over to, there's several pages upcoming on the 9,000 codes. First one being benefits. It's the typical things you would expect there: health, dental, unemployment, retirement system, that's the pensions for both the employee retirement system and the teacher's retirement system, workers' comp, life insurance, things of that nature. It is a point worth noting, as you'll see in the upcoming slides, these numbers are quite large, and it's also worth noting that we have little to no control over most of these. The health insurance rates are dictated to us, the pension system rates, the percentages are dictated to us each year, so it's just a world we have to live in that regard. The top one, you'll see pension, that's the TRS and ERS, as I mentioned, looking at an increase of roughly $290,000, and that's fully attributable to an increase in the ERS rate this year. They're projecting next year the rate will go up about 1.3%. The teachers' retirement system, rather, is a slight decrease of 0.52%, but obviously as salaries increase, one's a function of the other, so we're projecting that increase. With Social Security, again, the same concept. The rate doesn't change, but as salaries increase, we have to project a slight increase there. Workers' comp, we believe we are holding the line on that. We speak with our representative. We've worked with some of our actuaries to project that number there, so we feel pretty confident in that regard. Life insurance and unemployment, again, slight decrease. We're taking $15,000 from life and $10,000 from unemployment. That's just based on a reflection of the current year, some trend analysis, and where we can save some money there. The next one is another one with a little caveat. The health insurance, right now you're looking at roughly a $408,000 increase of 1.3%, and you ask yourself, how is that only 1.3% in this environment we've lived in? The thing that helped us this year with that code is we were blessed with a very low increase this current year, roughly 2%, 2.5%. So budget to budget, we don't need as much money because our baseline for expense at the end of this year is just going to be that much lower. So we're looking at a $400,000 increase there. But on the expense side, we're budgeting with roughly a reflection of about 9% increase where we project will land at the end of this year versus next year's budget. Medicare reimbursements. It's a $250,000 increase, and those are, again, contractual costs we are required to pay retirees. And the Medicare reimbursement rate itself is not dictated by the district, but just for some context, from 2013, that rate was $105. Now it's gone up to $185. So again, it's no surprise to anyone that the benefit world has significantly increasing costs.
I mean, that code it's interesting. It's fascinating, actually, how much is in that one code. It's really, it's almost more than a fifth of the budget.
It's a lot of money goes
Yeah.
into those benefits. All right, changing gears, continuing to 9,000 codes, but in the debt service category, we have a few things which I'll speak to with the numbers on the following slide. Some of the numbers that go there are capital projects. That's historical borrowings the district's taken out over the years that we're still paying down, whether it be the EPC or various bonds. We have our tax anticipation notice, also known as TANs. That's short-term borrowing. It's done to cover a tight cash flow in the fall. That's, again, every school district at that fall period is when they face a cash crunch because the school starts, the expenses start. But although we get some state aid starting in September, at least for the town of Huntington, our tax money doesn't start coming until very late December, but primarily it starts in January. So this borrowing is short-term cash to get us through that lean period, and then we have some small lease agreements.
Mr. Conway, how many more years are left on the 2003 capital bond to pay that off?
That one I do not know off the top of my head. I know next year we're projecting on this slide here a $50,000 increase. And decrease, sorry. And I believe the following year it's around $400,000 decrease overall, and the following year I believe it's just over $1 million. So we're starting to see some of that debt overall trail off in the coming years.
Yeah. Okay, that's positive for us.
It is. So to that first point there, that $54,000 decrease is strictly a result of amortization tables and prior debt service commitments. The next one we see zero change. And on the TANs, the tax notice I just spoke to, we're projecting a decrease there as a combination of the interest rate environment, as well as the fact what we're trying to do is really manage how much cash we borrow for this period of time, and also the number of days outstanding. So the tighter window we can manage to hang on to that borrowed money, and the quicker we can pay it back, we're hoping to minimize the expense to the district on the debt and the interest with that. Also in the 9,000 categories, we have interfund transfers. These are expenses that the general fund absorbs and makes an expense or a payment to these various funds. The special aid fund, the school lunch fund, and the transfer to capital. The special aid fund, we are required to share 20% of the cost of the school age summer program. School lunch fund, luckily, in more recent time with the free lunch for all, it's really a minimal cost, but the intent here would have been over prior years before it was free lunch for everyone. If someone had purchased lunch, not paid for it, we had to provide the meal anyway. Basically, the general fund would have to have absorbed that bad lunch debt. And last but not least on this slide is transfer to capital. That's the district-wide capital improvements that we will also get to in detail on a slide or so. So as far as the budget to budget for the for the special aid fund, we're seeing about a $300,000 increase. That's a function of some of the costs for the summer program increasing, and this number was kind of derived with alongside our orders at the end of last fiscal year as we closed the books, where we really needed to project for the upcoming year. School lunch fund, as I just mentioned, what the intent or the concept is there. We're keeping that flat at a $25,000 number. We don't anticipate much more, if any of that, to be used with the free lunch. And in the transfer to capital, you'll see an increase there from 4 million to 6.1, around a $2.1 million increase. And that's a result of the facilities committee meeting multiple times a year, sometimes more than once a month, to go out throughout the district, look for projects that need repair, building improvements, and we'll speak to what those projects are proposed for the upcoming year in another slide. The summation of all of those numbers, I know there's a lot of stuff that we just ran through to digest, leaves us with the total picture as of now, a proposed 25-26 budget of around $222.3 million versus $217.5 this year. A budget-to-budget increase of around $4.8 million, just over 2%. The intent here is really, obviously, there are contractual costs that we have to adhere to, but we're also trying to be very mindful of cost of budget of taxpayer pocketbooks, and that's why we did our very best this year to keep a slight budget-to-budget increase.
That increase is really it's in the 2000s and the 9000s. That's really like exactly where you hit those two, and that's gets you the increase.
That's very true. Okay, for the facilities planning, as I mentioned, as a result of the facilities committee meeting throughout the year, the proposal for this year is the $6.1 million transfer to capital. You'll see 10 various projects spelled out throughout those little boxes down below. You'll see some outdoor learning areas, educational spaces at Birchwood and Oakwood, a maker space in the library at Stimson, a media center at the high school. The top right one there, that's memorial renovations. Obviously, as we bring that building back into our rotation, it's a building we've owned for forever, but it's been leased out to a third party for decades. So as we get it up to our standards, a lot of that money is going to go towards is basically essential upgrades, electrical, cafeteria renovations, which is also partially going to be funded by the school lunch fund. Also vestibule security, lockers, some flooring and ceiling work, and again, cabling, wire, and IT infrastructure. And overall, to get that building up to snuff with all the other district facilities. Over at the lower level there, you'll see drainage issues at the high school. Some final touches in the second box over at the Wildcat Stadium. That's just basically in front of the concession stand, just to finally put a ribbon on that project and clean up that last remaining area. Parking lot repaving here at district office. This one here has strictly become a safety hazard. If you've driven throughout the daylight hours, it's really in poor shape. The front steps have, some people have tripped and fell, and that one there is a safety issue.
There's literally chunks of concrete
Yeah.
scattered about the parking lot.
It
Now.
is
It's unbelievable.
in poor shape.
It's really bad.
And those last two are related to the high school area, turf field, and then a traffic light over in the area of the exit to the high school where the nursing home is.
Yeah, looking at, these are some really exciting projects that we could bring to the community. Looking at the turf field, we currently have one turf field, and I know it was mentioned earlier when we were talking about JV1, JV2. We have, I believe, very close to the top, if not the top, number of teams that we currently have here in South Huntington. A lot of wear and tear on that first field, and there's a lifespan to changing the field about 10 to 12 years, and it's hard to get there between all the youth groups and using that one particular field. Having a second field is going to really, really assist us, and numerous districts do have two turf fields. At least, yes. And, that's a community field, so the youth programs within South Huntington will be able to take full advantage of that additional field as well. And currently right now, obviously there's grass there, but there's some major drainage issues. There's also a lot of geese droppings that are not healthy. If we're putting students out there and trying to clean it up, it's very difficult. And I think it's time, because we're getting great use out of that first field, almost too much use on it, because you drive by and there's always people on the field, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, 8 o'clock at night. It's time that the district has that second field for all the wonderful sports because we do make a major investment here in sports, as we saw tonight. Having All Americans and all the students that are involved, and we strongly believe in theater, in art, in sports, in extracurricular, and we want to keep that going. And this is a good way to accommodate all.
Thank you, Dr. Lilly. Yeah, the projects, as you can see, cover a wide scope of the district, and we try to, as much as we can, cover a lot of the buildings throughout. So the traffic light, I don't know if we've discussed that. That's a point worth noting. A student did bring to our attention, and had been studying throughout the last couple of years the situation where West Hills Road meets what I'll call Wildcat Way. And there's a lot of traffic there, and it's really, and it goes every which way, the right, left, people crossing every which way. So we brought the town of Huntington out to take a look at the situation, and they thought it was that a traffic control device is something that would really be beneficial for our students and our faculty that have to leave there, as well as the buses that are coming out. So I mean, it's a huge choke point for traffic at the end of the day. Also not mentioned here, but we were successful in partnering with Steve Stern, the assemblyman from our area, and he's going to be getting us a left turn lane from Jericho Turnpike onto Palmanock Road, which we think will be great for traffic as well, and which will help our students as well, because then that opens up that area where it'll be a lot safer and they can make a turn onto Palmanock and come in the back way. So.
Yeah, just to go back to the traffic light, my understanding is the town would also be responsible for the maintenance of the light. So this is really a one-time cost for the school district.
Yep.
Okay, thank you both very much. One other thing worth noting with the media center Mr. Cepeda mentioned a grant. But regarding the media center, that cost overall is roughly gonna be $500,000. The district has been able to secure a grant for $250,000. So that's really great news that they're able to rely on local resources that we have to bring in funds to the district outside of it relying on the taxpayer.
Also, the result of his Assemblyman Stern. We'll give him another plug. So
Good, good.
He's been a big friend for South Huntington. So.
This next slide here, I wouldn't dare read it, but as we mentioned last time, we had the concept, Dr. Dillon and I spoke to different components of a capital reserve, what it looks like, what the intent, how to fund it, how to utilize it. On the agenda tonight is for the board to discuss whether or not to move forward with the capital reserve. But that being said, we promised last time full transparency, and we wanted to put this language out there. It is on our website. It has been on our website to read that. And should the board decide to move forward, this would be a second proposition on the vote in May. First proposition obviously is the budget itself. The second one would be this. So feel free to take a look at the website and read that in detail if you wish.
And if the board adopts it, I look forward to seeing how that's going to fit on the ballot.
Yeah, it's quite wordy.
It's one of the longest propositions.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. So there's 2 pages there. And
Oh, it continues. Huh?
yeah, there were 2 pages.
Even longer.
And last but not least, a tax levy discussion, again, also mentioned last meeting. This is a formula-based calculation every district has to work with. Our maximum allowable increase this year with the tax levy is 3.975. That number would equate to just over $5 million. As has the last couple of years looked, the board has full authority to do a lower rate, which would be in favor of the taxpayer should they so choose. At this point, I'd like to pass it off to Mr. Cepeda and the rest of the board to have their discussion to mull this over.
Thank you, Mr. Conway, for your presentation, as well as the rest of the cabinet. Great job, very thorough. And you'll see also in the presentation there are upcoming dates. We'll be adopting the budget at our next meeting, and then we have to have a special meeting just to do the BOCES budget, and then our public hearing of the budget is on May 7th, followed by the board vote and referendum on May 20th, 2025 at Walden High School. Reminder of the new time, we changed it for the last couple of years. It's 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. now. Yeah, I mean, every year we discuss the tax levy, and as Mr. Conway said, we can potentially raise the tax levy up to 4%. And it's a little confusing, right? Because you hear about the 2% tax cap. It's not exactly a 2% tax cap because there's exceptions to the cap that allow you to go higher than that, or sometimes it could even be lower than 2%. So this year, potentially, it could be up to 4% in South Huntington. Traditionally, we have been well below our maximum allowable tax levy, at least for the last decade, and we've always complied with the tax cap. Since the tax cap's been in place, there's never been a year that we've not. So we've always been sensitive to how to maintain our programs and continue to build a phenomenal school district and take care of our facilities. There's a lot of mouths to feed and a lot of goals to accomplish, and we've been doing that by staying under the tax cap each year. So I want to open it up to the board to discuss where they think we should land with the tax levy for this year. We can't go above 3.975% unless we exceed the tax cap and seek a proposition and a supermajority from the voters. I don't think that's on the table, but we want to discuss where we should come below that. So I'll open it up to anyone that wants to discuss it. Mr. Bronson.
Thank you, Mr. Cepeda. As you had mentioned, I know I've been on the board for about 8 years now, and we typically do not reach the amount that we're allowed, and I would recommend that we continue that process. So it's really what's the number below, the 4.0. I believe last year we were at 2.4%, if I recall. And so I'm trying to balance the taxpayers. Obviously there's a lot going on with inflation. Everybody always talks about the price of eggs, et cetera. But I also know we also have, from a school district standpoint, obviously inflation affects us as well, and the potential for tariffs, et cetera. So, maybe this year it might be nice. I noticed, Mr. Conway, on your slide, the budget increase this year was a 2.2%. Increase. So I thought maybe that would be a good starting point for the board to discuss, maybe a 2.2. It's kind of in line, again, Mr. Cepeda, to your point about being below the allowable amount. That's consistent with how we've handled it for years. But again, sort of balances I sort of view it as net neutral. Despite inflation and everything, it's about a 2.2, and at 2.2 is kind of where I would probably land, give or take a little bit, obviously open to my colleagues on the board.
Yeah, that's a very interesting proposal as it matches the budget-to-budget increase. Hear from the colleagues on the board, Mr. Biangasso.
Yes, I concur with Mr. Bronson. I was looking at the same thing. I mean, last year we were at 2.4%. We have had some savings, and most importantly, you know, you want to be conscious of inflation. But if we kind of just looked at the numbers, looking at 2.2 with the low twos, it allows us to be consistent with some of the changes that we've made. And still, it'd be nice to be below what we were last year. So I think, you know, right around the 2.2s, low twos is a good place to start.
Mr. Scragg.
Even before seeing Mr. Conway's presentation, you know, just reviewing the numbers from the past couple of years, and looking at our tax, allowable tax increase for this year, I was hovering around the 2.2 number. You know, it is a reduction from last year's 2.4. And you know, just seeing Mr. Conway's presentation, I think that will help, you know, meet our goals for next year, and giving the taxpayers a break from the previous year. So
Thank you, Mr.
I support 2.2%.
Great, thank you, Mr. Scragg. Mr. Joyner.
Thank you, Ms. Ciapetta. Considering all the factors that has been mentioned, I thought we could be a little bit more progressive and, I should say aggressive and come in at 2.15, but I'm open to being between that threshold and 2.2.
Okay. Other thoughts, Ms. Meyer?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. First of all, thank you to Mr. Smith and Mr. Lombardo for the excellent presentation. We really need to keep in mind our students, right? As a school board, our primary role is to be the fiduciaries of the district, which means being excellent stewards of the money that we receive from taxpayers to make sure that our students have everything that they need for success, and that includes our staff, right? We're also a major employer, and in order for our teachers to be successful in achieving the highest standards of academics for our students, they need what they need for that programming. And thank you, Mr. Conway, for all the presentations thus far. It's been extremely diligent, and it's always a pleasure to be part of the process. So I think balancing the needs of our community, the needs of our students, I'm also in favor of 2.2%. If that's what the budget dictates we need to come in at, I see no reason, you know, for us to go above that, but also being prudent, even if there are some windfalls in our favor next year, we really can't go below that because it's very difficult to predict.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. And yeah, it's very rare that it looks like the consensus is around 2.2, and it's actually very rare for the budget-to-budget increase to be the same as the tax levy. I'm not sure that's happened before, and it actually makes it good and easy to explain. Also, 2.2 actually falls well below what we saw Newsday publish in the other day, saying that they thought the estimate was going to be around 2.62% throughout the islands. So I think this is, you know, a comfortable number. You know, of course, you know, you'd like it to be as low as possible, but you know, we have inflationary pressures on ourselves as well, as Mr. Bronson mentioned. So, okay, I think we have a consensus around that. Thank you, Mr. Conway.
Thank you very much.
And we'll go into our board meeting now. We'll take a motion to adopt the agenda. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Any questions on the agenda? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, items E through H require one resolution for adoption. Those are our minutes, financial items, bids, and bills. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Communications, we have a couple. We have a letter from Jillian Casey, who is the Waltham High School Social Studies Honor Society advisor, and she's inviting the board and the cabinet to their Rho Kappa Social Studies Honor Society induction ceremony on March 27, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Performing Arts Center. This is the kickoff of our Honor Society inductions. There'll be many more to celebrate throughout the year. All right, we have a couple email communications regarding the 2025-2026 budget process from Mr. Bruce Leslie. Mr. Leslie, are you here? And do you want? Yes. Okay. Would you like to address your letters?
I think everybody. I have a few other questions.
Sure. Go ahead.
When you ready?
Oh, we're ready. And if we don't have the answers for you today, we will certainly get back to you. As you know, we pride ourselves on communication.
I said to Mr. Conway yesterday, as many times that last year over the years sent emails with questions, everyone has always been right up there, and, right? And the first thing Mr. Conway said tonight was he apologized for not responding to an email I sent him yesterday. But we'll get there. I'm glad, I understand this more now, the tax levy.
Okay, yeah.
And I was gonna bring up, of course, there's only 3 other schools, districts, that are higher than South Huntington, according to Newsday. You know, which,
Yeah, budget.
Higher, or we should be one of the lowest, I would think. But
not according to this.
I wouldn't necessarily go by that because budgets haven't been adopted at this point yet. That's when South Huntington, we put in, right, Mr. Conway, 3.97?
Oh, yeah.
So those are not final yet, so.
Right, no, I understand that, but I just said, you know, there's only 3 other districts are, according to Newsday, are higher.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah. So that
Tax levy.
yeah, just so you understand, what they ask us for that very early in the budget process before we've even done any budget work or meetings, and we just give them what the maximum amount that we're allowed to. It's a meaningless number. They really ask way too early. You know what I mean? We haven't even.
Everybody else goes lower.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee. Well, we'll be lower at the end of the process by most of those. So.
And I appreciate explaining the different schools. I really didn't know how many districts, but I'm sure there's nobody here really remembers the original Birchwood School, Depot Road School, where the original Stimson High School was. Anybody? No. I do.
Well, we've been celebrating our 100th anniversary throughout the year, so.
Well, I'm not quite there.
No. This
free lunch program.
Yeah.
The state mandated it. Do we pay it, or does the state pay it?
Go ahead, Dr. Leo.
No, that comes from the state. We get funded by the state from that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad they're paying, she's throwing money out everywhere else.
Yeah, one of the things they're looking at though also is to get all districts in New York State. I know that's being talked about up in Albany right now for next year.
Oh, yeah.
But we met the requirements for the program, so yeah, we have it in place for, I believe, 3 more school years. I know anything could change in 5 minutes, but we do have it for 3 more years as we're projected to.
Okay, we'll take whatever they'll give us. The buses that they're gonna buy.
Yeah.
Are you gonna start buying electric buses?
No.
Not yet?
No.
Okay, good.
Glad you agree.
How did the,
We're actively lobbying against it. We think it will be the ruination of school districts on Long Island, actually.
I'll agree with you 100%. They bought you bought a couple of buses with, natural gas? The compressed gas? Propane? How'd they work out? Okay.
Not great.
Yeah, I don't think they would do it again.
One last question.
Yeah.
Where are they putting the new, turf field at Whitman?
In the front field, it's the closest to West Hills Road, like right by the fence line. So.
Oh, okay, I remember. That's right where the, greenhouses was?
No, we actually never had any greenhouses.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
The dates that's set, I spoke to Mr. Conway about it. Who sets those dates for the budget presentations?
Well, state law requires us to set them, so I mean, we have to, every school district on Long Island votes on
May 20th.
May 20th. That's universal. Now, it didn't used to be that. That's something that came out of the state. And then the BOCES budget vote, we have to do it by the final Tuesday. And then, May 7th is the public hearing of the budget. It has to be a certain number of days before the budget vote. So it's all controlled by state statute, so.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for, and of course they all left. But thanks to, it makes me feel good to see, Whitman, especially when Newsday wrote a great article.
They did. Thank you for coming and keeping us on our toes. We appreciate
I'll be
it.
here next time.
Thank you. Be well. All right, good. All right, that finishes our communications. New business. New business, item number 1 is a request for a student to remain in South Huntington for the rest of their senior year. Motion. Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Mr. Bronson. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. And moving on to new business item number 2 is a proposition number 2, which we just looked at. And this adds a second proposition to the budget. As Mr. Conway said, proposition 1 is always our budget. Proposition 2 has very long language. I'm not going to read it. At least we'll be here for another half hour. So, motion to discuss. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer. And as we said, this is a very long proposition because this establishes a capital reserve, and we want it to be very inclusive with the type of projects that it allows us to do. And, you know, also it does allow us for the opportunity to address the current portable classroom situation with renovations, replacements, or demolition if necessary. Very important thing, if necessary. And, you know, we want people to know that, you know, we had a obviously very active discussion in the fall, and we haven't forgot about the portables. The portables need to be addressed, and they need to go away, and we're continuing to monitor them. A lot depends on enrollment. You saw the enrollment projections. They're different than they were at the beginning of the year, so we're going to continue to monitor that. But this allows us to provide money in a dedicated fund if we need to do that, and if not, it gives us options to address a wide variety of other renovations and improvements that are needed throughout the district. And it's all there. On question? Yes, Ms. Meyer.
This question's for Mr. Conway. Mr. Conway, if we did choose to establish the capital reserve fund and the voters voted in favor for that, the funds that are in there, are they eligible to accrue interest so that the fund could potentially grow over time?
Yes, any interest that the fund, the balance generates would be put back. So that reserve, if you did not put your own dollar in it in a future year, let's say, the initial dollar plus interest stays there. Correct.
And where will we keep this? We'll earn interest on this, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All of our reserves are in interest-bearing accounts.
Okay, thank you. Other questions?
Do we have flexibility if we wanted to move it, if we don't like how it's performing, or we locked in for certain points of time? That's one thing I kind of was like a little.
In terms of the interest rate?
Yes.
Well, we, about a year, maybe it was 2 years ago, we entered into an agreement with NICLAS. It's a cooperative where we earn more interest because many municipalities participate in that. Collectively, they pool the dollars, and that generates more money than our, I don't want to say small amount of money, but collectively it pools more. So most of our money is held in that account on a day-to-day basis to generate the most possible. But yes, to answer your question, if there's another opportunity, maybe a different bank or something, audit committee could look at that, propose something to the board, and we always have that flexibility where the actual cash is held.
Right, so we can actually have flexibility if we saw another bank.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Biangasso. Any other questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so for the public, you'll see 2 propositions then on your ballot to make you aware. And just I'll pause for a moment. I don't want to belabor it too much, but we haven't discussed the situation in Albany. We always like to give a report in Albany. As we're moving rapidly forward to adopting our budget, Albany is not. The governor had put her proposal out. Now, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a proposal from the Senate, which is called the one-house budget, and then a separate proposal from the New York State Assembly. It's their one-house budget, so somehow they've got to put these 3 together and come up with one budget. It used to be called the 3 men in the room. Now it's, 2 men or, no, 1 man and two women. So they got to come together and put this together somehow. And it's interesting to see some of the differences that have emerged. The governor in her budget put together a very stringent and strong cell phone policy. The Assembly left that out of their bill and instead has a standalone separate bill that gives a lot more flexibility to the districts and really doesn't prescribe any cell phone policy. It just says, district, you must adopt a policy, whatever it is, you can have it. The Senate modifies the governor's proposal a bit. And they all show a slight increase in foundation aid, which was good. We also see an increase, somewhat small or significant, depending upon the bill, on pre-K funding. So that's also good for us. And so we continue to monitor the other things. As Leslie, you were talking about the zero-emission buses. The Senate proposal curbs the current existing law regarding the timeline for the implementation of zero-emission dramatically. The Assembly doesn't have that in their bill, but we've talked with our Assemblyman Steve Stern. He said there's an enormous pressure from every which way, from school districts, from bus companies, manufacturers to not move forward with that initiative, you know, because it puts pressure on everybody. And, you know, it wouldn't just be the districts who have to spend more money on the buses. For all your private contractors, they're gonna have to buy the buses, and if they buy electric buses, then they're gonna pass on the bill to the districts as well. So those are the main things that seem to be playing out in this budget cycle. And, you know, we always hope that they adopt their budget on time, which is supposed to be by early April. But, you know, it may not be, which makes us adopt our budget kind of blindly. So we have to go based on estimates. So. Okay, moving along. New business item 3 is the adoption of board policy 1120. And then also we have board policy 1120R. These are kind of related, so I'd take a motion to consolidate them. Is there a motion to consolidate them? Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Any questions? All in favor? All right, and then I'll take a motion to adopt the policies. Is there a motion? Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. And this is just updating, you know, we're continually updating our policies. This updates our policies with respect to FOIL, clarifies certain things, clarifies who's the record officer, and also just clarifies and complies with state law. We didn't really clarify before that who our FOIL appeal officer is. So now we've established that there's a FOIL officer, Ms. Caliendo, and then a FOIL appeals officer, who will, ever the superintendent decides to designate. And it also is much more expansive, and it lists in more explanatory terms all the type of records that are exempt from public access, because people FOIL things and a lot of times they get back a lot less than they're anticipating, and that's because a lot of those documents are shielded by law from being turned over. So those are the major changes. And one of the reasons to withhold documents is if it's an unwarranted invasion of privacy, and that's also spelled out in this revised policy. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. And then we have another policy to adopt, revised board policy 2245 regarding ex officio student board members. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. This went to our relevant constituents. We've had an ex officio board member for a number of years. Gracie is currently serving in a terrific job in that capacity. And this is just an update to reflect the fact that now state law requires districts to have an ex officio student board member. So this is just being consistent with state law. And this policy as well was a model policy that we received. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to a number of health service agreements. The first is a health service agreement between South Huntington Union Free School District and Garden City Public Schools. Motion. Ms. Meyer, second. Mr. Biangasso. Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight for the board's approval is a contract between South Huntington and Garden City School District for health services they're providing to one South Huntington student attending the Waldorf School.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item 7 is the approval of a health service agreement between South Huntington and the Comac School District. Motion. Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item 8 is the approval of health service agreement between South Huntington and West Islip School District. Motion. Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Scraggs. Mr. Conway.
Also for approval is an agreement between South Huntington and West Islip, as you mentioned, for health services they're providing to 2 South Huntington students attending St. John the Baptist High School and 4 students attending the Bridges Academy, all of whom live in our district.
All right, thank you, Mr. Conway. Questions? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. And the last of our agreements, approval of health service agreement between the South Huntington Union Free School District and Mineola Public Schools. Motion. Mr. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Mr. Conway, one last time.
Okay. Again, this one's between South Huntington and Mineola. That's for health services they're providing to 5 South Huntington students attending the Solomon Scheckler School, but again, they live too in South Huntington.
Okay, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to new business, item number 10 is approval for the Assistant Superintendent for Business, the aforementioned Mr. Conway, to attend the Association of School Business Officials Educational Summit and Expo at Saratoga Springs in June. Motion. Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. We get a nice time of year to attend that. Mr. Dr. Dilly usually goes in the winter, I think. But, all right. Let's see. Moving on to new business, item 11 is the approval of an out-of-state field trip. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Ms. Kavanaugh, we haven't heard from you yet.
Thank you, Mr. Ziapetta. You have a couple with me in the next few minutes. So, we have a request from Mr. Modeleski for our winter percussion competition for 20 students to head to New Jersey on 2 different occasions with 3 chaperones.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm swallowing water. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item 12 is the approval of a consulting agreement with Dotori Consulting LLC. Motion. Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Bronson and Ms. Meyer. Ms. Kavanaugh again.
Dr. Matt Murphy and I have been working with our teachers to provide more professional development about making group work the norm in math. So Mr. Dotori does consulting and professional development through BOCES, and several of our teachers have attended that and come back with a lot of really good information and would like to further that connection. So we are asking for approval for this contract where Mr. Dotori will actually come into the district to work with our teachers, to be in our classrooms, and to co-plan.
Thank you. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item 13 is nominations for the Western Suffolk BOCES Board of Education. Motion. Mr. Scragg. Second. It is Meyer. All right. This is by tradition. The South Huntington School Board appears to nominate each year the candidates for re-election to the BOCES, Western Suffolk BOCES, that is, Board of Education. Eileen Hertz, Brian Sales, and Peter Wunsch. They're longtime members, and so they'd like us to nominate them. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Next, approval of an overnight field trip for DECA. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg and Mr. Biangasso. Ms. Kavanaugh.
Yep, me again. Thank you, Mr. Ziapetta, for your approval tonight. We have an overnight field trip request for our DECA students who impressively were able to place 4th in a recent event, earning them a spot to head to an international career development conference in Orlando, Florida, from April 25th to April 30th. We have 2 students attending with 1 chaperone.
Oh, excellent. Okay, very nice. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh. Item 15 is the recommendations for placements of on the students by Committee on Special Education and Preschool Special Education, various states listed in January, February, and March. Motion. Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Scragg and Mr. Joyner. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? And item number 16 is the acceptance of a donation from the Huntington Cultural Affairs Institute. Is there a motion? Oh, Mr. Biangasso, Mr. Scragg, and Mr. Bronson. This is a very generous donation from Huntington Cultural Affairs Institute, and particularly I want to thank former Superintendent Dr. David Bernardo and current Town of Huntington Councilman Dr. David Bernardo and current Town Supervisor Ed Smith for this donation. They want to celebrate our 100th anniversary, and they're contributing to our 100th anniversary statue. So, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Personnel schedules 6, 9, 11, 12, 15, 16, 19, 20, and 22. Motion. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? No major personnel appointments to announce from that. Curriculum committee minutes are listed. Ms. LaCara is not here tonight. I don't know if anyone else wanted to discuss anything that happened on curriculum. Ms. Kavanaugh, anything to note?
Sure. So Dr. Hender introduced Ms. Jessica Sauer as our new curriculum coach. This is our January 30th meeting that took place. Also, Dr. Hender gave an update about our SAVIS decision-making team. Then we went into a lengthy discussion about our dual language and bilingual education program, where we talked about the work of our focus group, which courses were recommended here in previous meetings. We also talked about the new course catalog at Stimson at length, and really excited for that to be introduced to our community soon. We also talked about tutor.com, which is an online tutoring program that would give our students 24/7 access to human beings who will help to tutor them. They are certified teachers. It's not a robot, it's not AI. These are human beings, and we really had a conversation about the benefit of that for our students. We're looking to launch that very soon with approval from our title funding. And we talked about summer school with our regional BOCES program and just some of the updates that we've been asking for in regard to that program. And Western Suffolk BOCES, our superintendent, Ms. Perpillo, has been very receptive to that feedback and giving us some hope for a really good summer.
Thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh, and I want to thank you and Dr. Murphy for spearheading that and bringing it to our attention and moving to improve our summer school program. Yes, Mr. Bronson.
I was just going to thank Ms. Kavanaugh and Dr. Hender for the curriculum committee meetings. I've been on it for a little while, and I just want to thank you. They're well-run, efficient, but chock full of good information and good discussion, so thank you for doing that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bronson. We'll move on next to our temporary standing committees. We have our Transportation Savings Committee, Mr. Conway.
Sure, thank you. Dr. Murphy and I held our most recent meeting last week on March 13th. At that meeting, we discussed theoretical shifting of times as a concept. Our Transportation Director, Laura Brothers, provided just one example, which we went over the pros and cons and how that could possibly look. A conclusion which was reached by the members was that they all agreed South Huntington drivers and buses are the way they would like to proceed. And they agree with, the district's concept at this point in time of continuing to buy buses, hiring local drivers and doing the runs ourselves. Our next meeting will be on March 27th in this room at 4 p.m. At that meeting, we've arranged for a representative, from R&M Engineering. That's the company doing the traffic study.
Okay.
They're going to come present some of the initial findings to the committee to digest and, tell us how it's looking at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Conway, for your work on there.
Thank you.
And how many more meetings do you anticipate for the
After
committee?
March 27th, I believe there are two in
Okay.
April.
Excellent. And Dr. Hender, my favorite Comac Cougar.
Thank you,
Pre-K update.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Our UPK committee last met on March 10th. We had a wonderful meeting. We had some really insightful conversations. As you may recall, we've now visited both locations that could potentially house UPK. We did hold a vote, and it was unanimous that we felt our recommendation will be that UPK should be held at Silas Wood.
Okay.
We are now working on fine-tuning some of our other recommendations in regards to before and after care and what that might look like, and some other surprises in there. So really great conversations going on, and I thank all the members. It's been very insightful and a great committee by all.
Thank you, Dr. Hender, for your terrific work on that committee. Future meetings are listed. April 9th, as I mentioned, budget adoption. April 22nd, which should be a light business agenda, where we will have the BOCES budget vote and elections, and the May 17th, the public hearing of the budget. Comments by board members? Ms. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. I'll talk really quickly and keep this short because I know we're really late. I'm not the only board member, I'm sure, that wants to congratulate Silas Wood and Stimson on an absolutely phenomenal musical this weekend. It was better than the Netflix edition. Really, really well done, and it's just amazing to see how much our theater program really embraces our students with talent there, even including, our student directors that come down from the from the high school. It was absolutely wonderful. And also, we were able to honor our boys soccer team tonight, but last weekend they were also honored at Yankee Stadium during the NYCFC game, which was an absolutely phenomenal experience for them, getting to be on the pitch, on the Jumbotron. So thank you to Mr. Toto, who I'm sure had a hand in setting that up. Just want to wish good luck to all the South Huntington students who are swimming in the New York State Championship meet up in Rochester this coming weekend. We have everyone from second graders to seniors going up there, which is wonderful. And Wildcat Camp registration is open. Last Monday was a little bit of a harrowing day for those of us trying to get online and register, but all the kinks were worked out. And I just want to, thank the Wildcat Camp, everyone that's behind it. Every year we're able to add even more programs, even more variety, additional courses and classes for our 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, and it's just amazing, and one more reason that South Huntington is such an amazing district and destination for those in our Huntington community. So thank you.
Ms. Meyer. Wonderful value there. Other comments by board members? Mr. Scragg.
I would just like to thank all of the teachers and staff and administrators who worked tirelessly for months to put on our 5th annual Lip Sing for Scholarships event. It was a wonderful time, as it always is, to a sold-out pack. This year we were able to raise close to $19,000, and every one of those dollars will go to senior scholarships this coming June. So thank you for everyone who took time to make that such a great event. Thank you.
Dr. Lilly, do you want to?
Yes, real quickly. Yes, lip sync was unbelievable. And yes, thank you to all the teachers, administrators, and all the people that went out and purchased different items to put on what I felt was it gets better. It was always good, but it's unbelievable the performances each year. And I truly look forward to it. And, thank you to everybody to make it happen. It's really, as I was walking out of it, I can't tell you how many parents were saying thank you. And that's really, it's not to me, it's really to everybody that really put it together. And, $19,000. Wow. That's great. That's awesome.
I also want to thank Mr. Dan Lombardo for joining our team this year as our star dancer. Thank you.
We're all in
trying
this
to figure out
together,
who was
Mr. Scragg.
trying to figure out who was more excited, Mr. Lombardo or Mr. Levy. That's what we're trying to figure out. They seem super, super excited. I mean, it's.
Oh, wow.
That'll be the next vote. Also, middle school play as well. I was there over the weekend. Oh my God, unbelievable what 6th, 7th, and 8th graders can put together. It's a testament to us being one of the few districts that are a K-12 theater district. So, we spoke about sports earlier, but theater is a major part of this community, and there's a reason why those plays are unbelievable. So I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Right, Mr. Toto? We were sitting together. Unbelievable. And guys, listen, it's also March Madness. And I know Dr. Hender, we had those parent squares going out, the elementary, for some activities to keep up that hoopla. And, I'm a graduate of St. John's University, and I'm living the dream. People that know me, they know how much I talk about it. Mr. Toto is as well. He knows. We were talking about that at Sunday as well. We have a facilities meeting tomorrow night. And Mr. Ciapetta promised we will be done by 9:45.
Yes.
Because that is tip-off time
We're
right
starting
now.
at 5:30, so if we don't, it's a problem.
You never know with some of these meetings. We do spend a lot of time at facilities, though. But it's a great time of the year, and things are going great. And I can't believe we're heading into the fourth quarter pretty soon. So
That's quick. It goes quick, right?
very quick.
Thank you, Dr. DeLee, for your update. I had a few, but I'm going to eliminate them given the late hour. I did want to mention what I thought was the highlight for me of the last couple of weeks was International Night over at Walden High School. This was a real treat, and what was impressive is really a completely student-run performance, and the talent there was amazing. And it was talent across the board too. It's students that you don't necessarily always see perform. They're not necessarily in the theater, and it was just amazing. People singing the Italian national anthem, just beautiful dresses for girls who were in their quintanilla dresses, just parading across the stage. I mean, it was just really a spectacular night. Terrific talent, and as I mentioned, it was student run, and I think that made it all the more special. Gracie.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have a little bit to talk about, but I'm going to try to make it quick because it's really late and everyone's super tired. But the year is moving super fast, but it's also really busy. I'm trying not to complain because the sun came out today and it was really nice. Right outside. The first thing I have is an update for Ms. Meyer and the Wellness Committee. I spoke to Mr. Malazzo and he said that the Natural Helpers, which is a group of Whitman students that just focuses on like anything student mental health initiative related, and they'd definitely be open to giving us a presentation on their annual Natural Helpers retreat, which is just they spend a whole day at Whitman, about 12 hours, and they're completely off their phones, and it's really, really fun. The students really love it. And so Mr. Malazzo said I could attend the next meeting, and I'll talk to the students about what the presentation would entail, and then hopefully we can arrange a date and have these students present before maybe one of our May meetings, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Just to look back at the past few weeks, we did have PTA lip sync battle, which Mr. Strag mentioned. Judging was really hard, I will say, because the groups were really amazing, but Silas took the win. So Mr. Toto has bragging rights now. But aside from that, great job to everyone. And the board, I was very impressed by all of you, I will say. I was.
Why did we get the consolation prize?
And on the same topic of performing, again, Silas and Stimson, great job for 13. I told Turner we have a really good group of kids coming up, and she was very excited to hear that. So good work to Mr. Slitsky, cast and crew. You guys did an awesome job. To go back to the 7th quickly, which was PTA night, the spring blood drive took place in the South Gym, and around 140 pints of blood were donated by students and staff, which is really amazing. Dr. Murphy wanted me to give him a shout out. He did donate too, so. So thank you to everyone there. Whitman also hosted the SAT ACT breakfast. I thought I would mention that because we have some really, really smart students and their high test scores deserve some acknowledgement. So that was a really nice thing that we had for them. I will say the start of this week was super busy, so I'll unpack that. On Monday and Tuesday, the Theater Honor Society took a trip to Oakwood and Countrywood, and we performed the story The Day the Crayons Quit. So everyone, we all dressed up as crayons. We had little cones on our head. I was the red crayon, and the kids seemed to really, really love it. They were really cute, so I had to like try to stay in character, but amazing. Thank you for Dr. McCallion for letting us come. On a sports note, the spring season started on Monday, and that's for middle school and high school students, and we're looking forward to those accomplishments because, as we see, we have some really talented athletes in this district, so we'll see a lot of accomplishments there for the spring. I would also like to talk about an assembly which was held at Whitman on Tuesday for juniors. This assembly is called Choices and Consequences, and it covers all topics related to safe driving. I can confidently say that this was probably one of the most impactful assemblies I ever attended throughout high school, and after talking to a lot of juniors, I think they could agree with me on this. Some of the content discussed was really upsetting, but it was just important and it kind of changed everyone's perspective, and it's really good to have this presentation for the juniors because everyone's starting driving, they're all in driver's ed, and it's just a really good assembly, and I hope we continue that every year because it was amazing. Before we call it a night, I just want to remind everyone, Q3 officially ends on April 4th, and on the same day, the Whitman Musical Chicago is opening in the PAC. This is my senior show, and the rehearsal process has been really, really fun. It's one of my biggest roles, so I'm a little bit scared, but I really hope to see everyone there. It's going to be really, really amazing. So just so calendars can be marked, the dates are April 4th at 7:30 p.m. and April 5th at 2 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. And that is all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Grace. We look forward to Chicago.
Yes.
It's going to be spectacular.
I hope so.
Thank you for all your reports throughout the year. You're doing great. Okay, voice of the resident. Okay, we will take a motion to go into executive session to discuss multiple matters, including matters of personnel and matters of potential litigation. Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Scragg and Mr. Bronson. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everyone. Be well.